Welcome to my views on news. It seems that drone strikes are now becoming a norm in Tigray. Yesterday, drone strikes were conducted on Mekelle and some other places. Once again, this morning, multiple drone strikes were conducted. We have details for you. Secondly, UN Security Council meeting could not be held. We know that the meeting was planned for Thursday. It was postponed to the next week, and still no signs of any UN Security Council meeting on Ethiopia. Ethiopia is opposing this meeting and some other countries as well. Thirdly, viewers, flights now have been tracked between Ethiopia and Eritrea, cargo flights. Details are emerging that cargo flights are arriving in Lalibela and in Eritrea. We have details for you. Firstly, viewers, drone strikes are now becoming a norm in Tigray, especially Mekelle, Tigray's capital. This morning, around 7:30 a.m., drone strikes, more than one, were conducted on Mekelle, Tigray's capital. The strike was conducted in a neighborhood by the name of Midri Ganath. In Midri Ganath, two strikes were conducted and according to Tigray regional government, civilians have been killed. Midri Ganath is a residential area. There is no military target. Both Professor Kindeya and Getachew in their statements claimed that civilians have been killed and wounded. Getachew said in his message that this is basically a revenge for battlefield losses which are being suffered by Ethiopian and Eritrean governments. That is why civilians are being targeted. Dr. Kibrom Ghebreselassie, chief executive of either referral hospital, has confirmed 10 casualties so far. 10 dead bodies have been shifted to this hospital in Mekelle. 3 are critically injured and surgeries are going to be performed in coming minutes. 10 casualties confirmed. You can imagine that there would be dozens injured too. Again, no statement from Ethiopian federal government, which is a practice as well. Whenever drone strikes, air strikes are conducted on Tigray, Ethiopian government remains silent. Then Ethiopian government-backed activists, they share details that these targets were hit, those Tigray fighters were hit, those military targets were hit, but no details from the government so far. Now, question is, if on daily basis Mekelle, Tigray's capital, will be hit, how will Tigray regional government continue to work? Obviously, in such atmosphere, it's difficult for government organizations, for government departments to deliver to work. And a few days ago, drone strikes were conducted very close to Tigray president's office in Mekelle. It means that in case of an intensified air campaign, we could see some decisions made by Tigray regional government. Mekelle, which is based in Mekelle, Tigray's capital. Are we going to see withdrawal of TPLF and TDF leadership from Mekelle towards Tambian? And that is why these strikes are being conducted to force government to be out of Mekelle. Ethiopian government is now, Ethiopian and Eritrean governments both want to capture Mekelle. Now it's very clear that they want to remove TPLF from power in Tigray. So they'll do whatever they can. Yes, civilians are killed too. You know that drone strikes and air strikes hit targets, but in collateral damage. Civilians are killed. No matter how precise a drone strike or air strike is, civilians become the victims of these strikes. It means that no matter what happens, Ethiopian and Eritrean governments, they want Mekelle under their control. It means that in coming days, we could see more such strikes. Tigray is condemning it, international community is condemning it, that civilians are killed. No signs of any breakthrough, it means, views, to resolve this crisis. Negotiations in Djibouti, which were moving on the right path, have completely collapsed. Now it's an all-out war because on daily basis, drone strikes are being conducted. No signs of any peaceful solution in present circumstances. Secondly, Ethiopia is opposing the holding of UN Security Council meeting on Tigray-Ethiopia conflict. The meeting was set to be planned for Thursday. It could not be held. Then it was said that in the next week, meeting will be held, but no meeting so far. Taye Selassie, Ethiopian representative at the UN Security Council, has said in a statement that UN does not have authority to discuss Ethiopian internal matters. Only those matters are discussed at the UN Security Council which are a threat to international peace and stability. Issue of Ethiopia is not a threat to peace and stability internationally. That is why the UN Security Council is not authorized to hold a meeting. Ethiopia is supported by some other countries too. Russia, China are supporting Ethiopian government's position. We know that Norway, US, UK, Ireland, reportedly, they had requested a meeting of UN Security Council, but the meeting could not be held. And one of the reasons was that peace process was underway, talks were underway in Djibouti. That is why earlier meeting planned for Thursday was postponed. Now peace process has totally collapsed. And now we'll see a battle at UN Security Council. Russia, China will try to oppose this meeting. On the other hand, Western countries, US will try to have a meeting. Let's see what happens. But Ethiopian position is very clear. It does not want any meeting on this Ethiopian matter, which Ethiopia says is an internal matter. It's not just an internal matter. It's a regional matter. Eritrea is involved. Sudanese soil is being used. You cannot say that it's just Ethiopia's internal matter. Region is being drawn into this war, and if this war goes on, we could see Egypt involved as well. Some say Egypt is already involved. So that is why the issue is a threat to peace and stability in the Horn of Africa, not just Ethiopian internal issues. Lastly, viewers, now flights are being tracked. Experts are confirming that flights, cargo flights, are being seen between Ethiopia and Eritrea. So it means that either troops or equipment, military equipment, is being transferred to Eritrea from Ethiopia. The same flights which are arriving in Lalibela for days are now being tracked, that they move towards Eritrea as well. Yesterday, 5 flights were tracked between Ethiopia and Eritrea, cargo flights, Boeing 737 flights, and the 6 flights landed at Lalibela airport, which has received several flights in the past few days. Mostly troops and military equipment carrying flights arrived at Lalibela airport, and after that, out of these 6 flights, 5 traveled further to Eritrea. They landed in Eritrea. Experts say that these flights are not regular passenger flights between Addis Ababa and Asmara. These were cargo flights linked to Ethiopia, Tigray, Eritrea war. The flights were either carrying troops or military equipment. Now, it's not a secret that Eritrea is involved, Eritrean military is involved, and Eritrea wants ENDF troops to be on front lines. We have seen that that Eritrean troops are at the back on front lines. Ethiopian ENDF troops are at the front. So that is why I think on all fronts ENDF troops are needed. From Eritrea side, if Eritrea wants to launch an offensive, it would like ENDF troops to be at the front. That is why these flights carrying troops arriving in Eritrea. Secondly, equipment. Why would Eritrea use its own military equipment? It would like ENDF equipment to be used for this war. So that is why it isn't a surprise that military equipment and troops are being transferred to Eritrea. It's an all-out war. Now, any prospect of peace, it's difficult to say now. In a separate video, we'll try to analyze all the battlefronts which are active, and is there any prospect of peace? The way the two armies, Ethiopian and Eritrean armies, have launched multiple offensives in different directions, it indicates that decision has been made that TPLF must be crushed at any cost. So I don't think ENDF, EDF are going to agree to some sort of a political solution at this point of time. Thanks for watching.